Good afternoon, guys. Pastor Janet here. I wanted to come today and talk about what goes on the front of a book cover. Now, you know the cover is very important. I talked to you about that before. When a person goes in the bookstore, the first thing you look at the cover is his book. So you want the cover to be exciting. But there are certain things you need to put on the cover of a book. You need to know what they are. And number one is the title. Now, you need to choose the correct font size of your title. You don't want it to be too big. You don't want it to be too small. That person has to put on their glasses in order to read the title. And then you want to give a little hint of the gender that it's in. Is it fantasy? And that can be mixed with the title. Like if you say a place in outer space, a person already knows it's a fantasy or sci-fi right there. So you want to give a hint about the gender. And then you want to have that in a font that's easy to read, but not too, you don't want to overshadow the title. You want this title to be big, but not too big. Usually most fonts for titles are at 16 font, or I think the most I've seen is like 18. You can make bigger, but it just depends. But anyway, you don't want the subtitle to outdo the title. So the subtitle is always going to be small and will give a hint about the gender that the book is in. Then you have to decide your name, how you want to write your name. Like me, I just put Pastor Janet Fears. Pastor Janet Marie Fears. Sometimes I put Pastor Janet Fears, sometimes Pastor Janet Marie Fears, but you have to decide on the name where you want your name. Most of the time, it's toward the bottom, right, or underneath the subtitle, but big enough for the people to see it. Okay, so you gotta pick, and if you want to use a pen name, some people want to use a pen name. If you want to use a pen name, then you have to decide what pen name. Some people just want to use initials, like the famous, writer J.K. Rowling. She got J.K. Rowlands. Now me, sometimes I'll put J.M.F. for Janet Marie Fears. I could do that on my books, but you gotta have all that on the front, so the person can get an idea of what the gender is, and the title should be catchy, and then you have to have your name. Okay, now we come to the color of the fonts. Do you want a font that's just a regular black font, or do you want a white font? White stands out on some books. If your book is a sci-fi sometime, white stands out a lot. If the background is mysterious fantasy, white stands out. So you got to pick the color that you want for your font. And that goes also for the subtitle and for your name. Now, some people decide to put their name in a different color because they want to attract the person to their name so they know whose book they're reading. Okay, so you want to pick a nice color for the background of your book. All these are important because when people, like I say, when they walk into a bookstore and go start looking at books, I've walked into so many and looked at covers. Some are bright and shining, some are dark and forbearing. And, it depends on what type of book you want to read. Some people like dark and forbearing. I myself like romance, things like that, or bright and sunny titles. The cover that's maybe the cover is yellow, and the words are in black, and it sets it out. For the background is yellow and the words are black, and it depends on what you want. Now, all of this is in designing. And if you're designing your own, which I do, I decide my fonts, color, and size, and everything. But if somebody's designing for you, these are the things that you need to tell them. You want something a title that's catchy, that stands out in font and color. What color font you want. You want all this to be discussed with your designer. And then you want to hint about what the gender of the book is, and then you want your name. Okay, now that's for the book cover. These are essential things that you need to tell your designer, because that book is going to speak to the people about you. So always remember, you want a great font. There's different styles of font. Look on the computer, you'll see there's so many fonts, styles that you can write in. Some want Gothic. If it's going to be a forbearing mystery or something like that, they want a Gothic font where the words look really, So these are things you need to discuss with your designer. What kind of font you want, what style. There are so many. You don't have to use Times New Roman. There's so many more. There's Arial, there's Gothic. There's so many different things you can use to put on the front of your book. but you want it to stand out, like I said, and the standout should also feature the gender. So when people look at it, they kind of get an idea of what it is before you even look at it too closely. So, excuse me, I've been really busy running today. We just got home, and so I was just running because I wanted to do this video before I, started doing other things and I've been designing. I told you I'm a designer, so I got myself, my husband got me a computer, beautiful blue. Blue's my favorite color. I didn't know they had blue computers. He got me a blue computer. So I've been designing the cover of my blue computer. It's beautiful. But anyway, let me get back to the book. Okay, so you want a good font, good size, not too big, not too little. Subtitle that gives an idea of what the story is about, maybe just a one-liner, and then have your name and stuff. And then you want to make sure that all this, you tell, don't just give your book cover to a designer and say, design me a book cover. And then when you get it, you don't like it because you didn't tell them what you liked, what you wanted. Make sure you tell the designer who's doing your book cover, even if it's you, make sure you know what you want. For me, when I design my book covers, I know exactly what I want. I check everything out to make sure that the fonts are right, what the style that I want, the subtitle, what I want to say in that, and then my name, how I want to put my name on. And like I said, there's so many different styles that you can write your name, write your title. So don't just stick to one thing. Times New Roman is great, but you can have other ones too. There's Arial, there's Gothic, there's there's so many, I can't even think of them all. Storybook. There's so many different fonts that you can use. So check your fonts out. Make sure you know what you want. Always know what you want when you sit down. Even when you whatever you do in life, have a plan. Sit down and think to yourself, is this what I want? Same way when you're sending your book to a book designer or editor. Make sure you're knowing what you want. So if they send back something that you don't want, you can explain to them why you don't want it. It's not saying what you want to say. It's not showing what you want to show. So, it's essential to have the right things on your book. Great title, a subtitle with the hint of what the gender is, your name, and anything else that you want to put on. But it's got to have a nice background design that fits in with that title and with that subtitle. You don't just want to just pick a yellow back cover, and then you're going to be talking about goblets and weird things that really wouldn't fit. You want to get something that maybe with stars, like showing like outer space or something like that, or prehistoric animals or something. You want to get something that's going to fit with your title. Always make sure you get something that fits with your title. And in that subtitle, you want to give a hint of what the book is about. You don't. Some people make mistakes in subtitles. They write too much, and people, they're going to find out what it is. You just want to catch them. It's called a narrative hook. You want to catch them even with the narrative hook on the book cover. So they'll say, oh, I wonder if this is about a mystery. I wonder if this is about, it sounds like it. And I like mysteries, so I'm going to check it out. Okay? So anyway, that's what I want to talk to you about. Make sure your book cover has the right background picture that you want, the background color, the right size of font for the words, subtitle that's telling what the gender is about, or a hint of what the gender is about, and your name. If you're going to use a pen name, fine. If you're going to use your real name, fine. But make sure the cover has everything that you wanted to portray to the reader. That's what I wanted to tell you. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to rest and fix myself some dinner, because like I said, we've been running around this morning. It was a busy morning, but I'm glad I got to talk with you guys. I love you guys so much. So enjoy this video. I sure hope you did. And I'll be back tomorrow to talk about what's the one thing that seasoned writers do that beginner writers don't do. Okay, see you tomorrow. Love you guys. Bye-bye now.